There can be no greater revelation than when a human being recognizes their responsibility to the world. You have had this revelation. You have recognized your responsibility to the world. So have I. This is why we are all in this room today. From a very young age, combating human rights abuses has been my mission. Through the years, I've worked as a human rights lawyer in technology consulting and risk and policy advisory, from government to international organizations and in corporates. Today, my primary mission and focus is combating human rights abuses in supply chains at scale. As a human rights lawyer, I've seen human beings with no voice, no protection, no liberty, and with no escape. This must change. There are 50 million victims of modern slavery globally today. This is a global challenge and a hard problem. I am here to talk to you today about practical solutions to this global problem. In the words of Abraham Lincoln, who abolished slavery, we must think anew and act anew. All this led me to start Supply Unchained, to combat human rights abuses and modern slavery by breaking the chain of exploitation. Now, I'd like to see where we all are as a group. If we could please log into the Menti on screen. That's interesting. We have a bit of a mix there. Next question. How do you manage non-compliance by suppliers? We have a clear win on that one. How regularly do you check your suppliers once they've been onboarded? Okay, we have a clear winner there. And the last question, what cross-functional departments are involved in your compliance and risk management process? Yeah, now we can start to see where this complexity really lies. So we've seen that there are two approaches. The first, compliance and risk, doing what is right to avoid penalties and risks, complying with the law. And secondly, taking responsibility in your business and your supply chain. So spreadsheets, overwhelming surveys, costly and time-consuming audits, our traditional approach to human rights due diligence just is not working. They fail to capture the real human rights risks that are hidden deep within our complex supply chains. And nowhere is this more true than in the Asia-Pacific region. As the global engine room for manufacturing, the region's supply chains are immense and intricate, and our traditional methods simply can't keep up with the scale of this challenge. So think about it from the perspective of a small supplier in Bangladesh garment industry. An international brand sends them an overwhelming human rights questionnaire. This small business does not have a compliance department. The owner is focused on meeting production quotas. Completing that survey is a massive, often impossible burden. So, what happens? They fill it in by guessing what is correct or acceptable, and this can't even be verified. The data you get back is unreliable. And what about the audits? So, how much can you really learn from a one-day audit in a factory in Vietnam? The reality is factories get a heads up. They clean up their act. They coach workers on what to say, what is acceptable. And really, it's a snapshot. It's a performance, not a true reflection of the reality for the workers. This approach completely misses the hidden risks. In countries like China, a primary supplier might be subcontracting work to a smaller, informal workshop to meet a big deadline. These are the places where the worst human rights abuses really happen. Child labor, forced labor, unsafe working conditions. They are invisible to your traditional due diligence process. The current one-size-fits-all approach just doesn't work. It's a box-ticking exercise, not a genuine effort to address and remediate human rights risks. So we need to make it easier for suppliers. The old way isn't just failing, it's actively perpetuating the very human rights risks we are legally and morally obligated to address. So it's time to explain our solution. This will be followed by a demo. So as you can see on screen, this is how our underlying solution works. Our solution is a crucial shift. It is a harms-based framework. It doesn't just ask suppliers if they're compliant. It assesses the actual human rights harms that could occur. Our platform identifies and prioritizes the most severe risks. So we are expert-led. Our core expertise is in business and human rights, legal, regulatory, compliance, and supply chain. Our leadership team consists of this multidisciplinary team, from KC barristers and lawyers to human rights, compliance, supply chain, and tech and AI experts. We are tech-enabled, as you might know. Our entire solution is founded on technology and AI. This is foundational and essential to get to scale. We'll dive deeper in how this works exactly to follow. Next, we're regulation agnostic. So our solution cuts through the complexity by putting human rights at the center of the method. Instead of forcing you to chase different legal standards, this consistent approach is inherently adaptive to evolving regulations, languages, new jurisdictions, with protecting people from harm as its core focus. It is guided by international standards from the UNGPs, ILO, and OECD on multinational enterprises. We are industry agnostic, so our solution adapts to different industries, cuts through the complexities here, and moves through sectors. And finally, and most importantly, we are impact-driven. Our approach puts human rights at the front line by focusing on salience, or the greatest harm to individuals. It drills down into assessments of both individual harms and business risks, allowing you to take actionable steps on safeguarding human rights. The ability to assess supply chains at scale gives a phenomenal level of impact for human rights, which is pioneering and game-changing for progress. It is human rights focused at its core, and this is why we call it the human rights golden thread approach. Now we're going to go over a high-level demo to walk you through some of the technology's key features, with the caveat and disclaimer that these case studies don't refer to any specific clients, given our commitment to confidentiality obligations. So let's take the example of a global tech company and how we can help them solve their biggest challenges in human rights due diligence. For a company of this size, the traditional manual process is a huge burden, leading to a fragmented and reactive view of risk. We provide a solution built on our harms-based framework, what we call our golden thread approach, which focuses on preventing and identifying actual harm. This approach then allows them to navigate global complexity with a single, consistent method. So we look at the challenge. The problems the company faces are incredibly complex. Their supply chain isn't just physical, extending from mineral mining, manufacturing to logistics. It also includes their digital platforms, which expose them to a different set of human rights issues. This means they have a vast range of risks. So if we look at their physical supply chain risks, we look at child labor in cobalt mining, forced labor in hardware and electronics factories, and dangerous working conditions as some examples. Digital platform risks, AI bias and discrimination, the spread of hate speech, online safety, privacy and security, exploitation or grooming of children on platforms, and even the use of their technology for human rights abuses. Their entire process is manual and fragmented. Compiling evidence from different departments across various time zones is a massive burden, creating a limited and reactive view of risk. It's nearly impossible for them to genuinely verify what's happening on the ground, leaving them vulnerable not only to salient human rights risks that impact individuals, but also significant legal, reputational, and market risks. So we move to our dynamic dashboards and AI-enabled vetting. We move companies from a reactive to a proactive stance by giving them a powerful new set of capabilities. Our dynamic dashboards provides a single source of truth, integrating their internal supplier data with real-time third-party information from news reports, legal databases, and watch lists. This dashboard, powered by a harms-based framework, automatically identifies and prioritizes the most significant risks. It looks at the scale, scope, and irremediability of the harm, giving these expert-defined categorizations and risk levels to action. They can now instantly drill down to see the type of risk of salient harm and filter by region, industry, or overall level of risk. The core of this is our intelligent AI, is an expert-trained tool that has learned to identify red flags based on our framework, analyzing hundreds of pages of supplier documents in seconds. The AI also streamlines the process of asking only specific, targeted questions that apply and adapt to that particular supplier, which reduces the burden on the suppliers and ensures there's high quality evidence. It then verifies everything by cross-referencing information against sanction lists, payment inconsistencies, trails, other records, making it harder for human rights abuses to go undetected. So let me show you a short snapshot of how this looks on the platform. Moving now to impact assessments and reporting. We automate the painful, time-consuming reporting process. Our platform directly generates comprehensive impact assessment reports, compliance statements, policies, and procedures, cutting drafting time from weeks to minutes. These reports are directly tied to our harms-based framework, allowing them to drill down into assessments based on individual harms and business risks. Here's how easy it is to generate a comprehensive report. Finally, we gave them peace of mind with our legal review and verification feature. So our platform provides a tiered system of internal approvals, where legal experts can then provide a detailed review of the whole process with recommendations. This allows their data to be legally verified and provides accreditation on this compliance, confirming that your due diligence is not just thorough, but also legally sound. So let's walk through the legal review workflow. So we move on now to some real-world case studies across industries. The first example is an engineering company. The company is a perfect example of the burden of manual vetting and the capacity gap. Now, they had a team of 3 people whose full-time job is to send out generic questionnaires that often go unanswered, which creates a lot of follow-up work and no guarantee of any accurate information. When they did then look to adopt an ESG tool, it only gave them a high-level score, and it lacked the level of detail required to be useful. It might flag a supplier in a high-risk country, but can't explain the specific risk, like was it forced labor, child labor, poor health and safety. In contrast, Our platform, powered by deep expertise of our harms-based framework, identified a specific supplier with a history of documented labor disputes and non-compliance with local wage laws, resulting in a more transparent supply chain. We move now to a jewelry retail brand. For this retail brand, the problem is a lack of genuine verification when manually vetting their global manufacturers. We looked at key manufacturers in this region, India and Bangladesh. Their team then struggles to deal with the complexities of legal, local wage rights, rest breaks, and the pressure on suppliers to uphold Western standards while staying profitable. On the ground, poor working conditions were accepted because the alternative for many workers is poverty, which means that the brand can't genuinely guarantee their products are free from exploitation. By using our platform, the brand can then centralize and automate supplier assessments through the technology, which is built to adapt to the relevant jurisdictions, languages, and legal requirements. This then allows them to identify those salient human rights risks with a granularity that was previously impossible, enabling them to proactively enforce safe, fair working conditions. We look finally at a global pharmaceutical company. A key risk for this industry is the sheer scale and opacity of the supply chains, with over 100,000 suppliers. Their traditional, risk-based approach means they can only focus on their highest spend suppliers, which is just a small fraction of their network. This leaves them with a dangerously limited view of their supply chain, leaving vulnerable populations exposed to potential harm, especially in the lower tier suppliers. So our platform's supplier risk monitoring with filters gives them that ability to instantly identify and prioritize the most significant risks, like payment trail inconsistencies or health and safety accidents, for example. When a potential red flag emerges, the platform's drill down capability allows them instantly to access that supplier's profile, see historical data, and take swift, targeted action. If you do want any longer demonstration, want to speak to us or ask any questions, please come visit us at our booth or set time to have a call. We'd be happy to talk to you. The Q&A on Menti's also open as we go ahead and to follow. Now, what is the cost of inaction? For a large resources company, they were ordered to pay $9.7 billion and are facing a £36 billion UK group claim on behalf of 70,000 victims. For a large online retailer, they suffered £1 billion market capital loss, multiple investor exits, and £10 million in compliance costs. For an EU asset manager, they were fined €25 million for ESG misstatements with senior exec resignations and a €16 billion drop in market capital. A pharmaceutical company faced litigation in the UK and the US, $4 billion paid in settlements and a further $9 billion projected. Emerging regulations now set fines at up to 5% annual global turnover and can even lead to the freezing of corporate assets. So, let's summarize. In a region as vital as Asia Pacific, the old way of managing human rights due diligence is a liability. We're no longer talking about voluntary codes of conduct. We are paving the way for a crucial and fundamental shift for sustainable development in this region. We're talking about real economic, social, and political development as a direct outcome of adopting and embedding human rights due diligence. This includes making it part of our laws, how we implement and enforce them, and how our businesses and stakeholders adopt these practices. This is a huge opportunity to position the Asia-Pacific region on the world stage. You're already navigating the Australian Modern Slavery Act, new emerging due diligence laws, national action plans that are all taking shape across the region. Our platform is a solution to a broken system of risk and compliance. We provide the technology to manage this complexity, giving you the data you need to satisfy these requirements. We overcome that burden of manual vetting and provide a level of visibility that a one-day audit in a factory can never achieve. The cost of inaction is no longer a hypothetical risk. It's a tangible threat to your business, with civil liability, criminal liability, and catastrophic damage that spreads in minutes. Continuing with a broken system is a choice. To remain exposed to those very real, very costly risks in the most important manufacturing region in the world. It's time to unchain your supply. If you're wondering what you can do next, these are some next steps. Join us at our product launch in London or virtually in November this year. Connect and work with us. We'd be very happy to book time to speak to you. Please join us at our booth or for a coffee. I'll close with a reminder and two questions. There can be no greater revelation than when a human being recognizes their responsibility to the world. You have had this revelation. You have recognized your responsibility to the world. So have I. This is why we are all in this room today. Will you embrace the responsibility of combating modern slavery and join us in eradicating human rights abuses? Will you think anew and act anew? If you answered yes, Supply Unchained would be honored to partner with you. Thank you.